Hi. If you're watching this, you're obviously wondering why I'm doing these. These are my sort of video log of my chemotherapy. So, this last week has been, shall we say, difficult. And I'm not sure if it's the chemotherapy, my paranoia, bunch of things. So, side effects from I went through it on the 17th. I went through my fourth chemotherapy. So the side effects I've had of the chemotherapy are the sensitivity to cold, which is almost wore off now. It uh, there are 2 weeks between sessions, and the sensitivity to cold is almost wore off. I do get peripheral neuropathy or pins and needles. I had that in my soles of my feet a little teeny bit from diabetes. I get that a bit more now on my toes. I feel that from the chemo. That's one of the side effects. I get it in my hands, and the weird one was just doing something like that. Was kind of weird. That was painful. It's still a little uncomfortable doing a few things like that. But and my hands and feet are very dry. My hands are very dry. It's also affecting my tongue, and it's kind of weird. And I say I feel we'll talk my tongue. I've lost the sense of taste, basically, not completely. There are a few things I can taste, a few things I can't, which is sort of a shame. I liked going out and having tasty food and fixing things. Strong flavors sometimes help. I had a sore in my mouth, which I noticed when I was brushing my teeth, and that was from the chemo. And then I actually started to get another one in the front of my mouth. But what happened last week was I first contracted a sinus infection, uh, started getting bad, and that turned into that went down my throat into my chest, and I got a little bit of acute bronchitis. So this week has been really kind of bad. I did not feel very good at all, and that's where my paranoia kicked in because I was looking at the sore throat, which was causing, and to some extent, still causing some problems. I'm a bit hoarse. You can hear that in my voice. But one of the side effects of one of the chemo drugs, the luocorvin, there's a warning on the medicine, the pamphlet they give out for this thing. If you get a shortness of breath, yes, I had that because I was that. Wheezing because my asthma was making it difficult. Difficulty breathing, yes, I was getting that. And then the closing up of the throat. Now, the interesting description someone gave that leucorvin or covorin, leucovorin, whatever. It the description somebody else I overheard at the cancer center was talking about feels like knives in your throat. It's a great description because it really does. When you drink cold things, it feels like knives are cutting into your throat. It really is very uncomfortable. That'll wear off, but because I've had a sore throat, I can't tell whether it's due to the postnasal drip, whether it's the fact that anyway, or the classic sore throat. So this last week, I went to the doctor, and they gave me some things for my. They gave me some antibiotics for my sinuses, but that turned into a chest cold, and I went to the actually emergency room because about 3 times now, I've got to the point where I can't breathe, and I keep telling them that, and they go, "It's just a cold." Well, anyway, I was not very happy with the emergency room this week. Spent 6 hours in there waiting around. They ran all kinds of tests, took x rays, and things like that. And they were upset because my blood glucose was high, which it was. I've been bad, and the chemotherapy drug sends me that. But what happens is that it didn't help my breathing. They gave me a breathing treatment, which is basically the supersize of a puffer. If you have asthma, the puffer. So it's been a rough week, and I can't say it was directly caused by the chemo, but it was more directly caused by the cold. But the cold, I think, got worse because of the chemo, and it played a lot of tricks on my mind because I was just having a real hard time. Waking up in the middle of the night because you can't breathe does something to you. It freaks you out. But for me, I stand up. You stand up, and you can start to breathe. And so I'm not sleepy, and I have an angled pillow. I haven't slept in the bed for the past week. I've been sleeping in a recliner or sleeping in my gaming chair, sitting here, because it helps. I do need to get a sip of tea. Warm liquids definitely help the throat. So I'm okay. I'm alive. It's going to be interesting to see if I go in for Chemo 5, which is in Wednesday, which is in a couple of days. So I got to see if I'm healthy enough to take that, to do Chemo 5. The side effects of the chemo have been bad. The one that's persistent, you lose the sense of taste. My tongue feels sensitive, I guess is the best way, to a variety of things. I don't taste things like I should, but I feel some things feel abrasive to my tongue, I guess is the best way to describe it. And the metallic taste in the mouth. So I found a couple of interesting fixes for the sour paste, the metallic taste in the mouth. One was Sour Patch Kids. They recommended that. Problem with it is they're such a strong sour flavor, and then the sweetness that will remove it. The other one is chewing gum. I'm not a gum chewer, but I've been chewing gum. It's just when my tongue gets sensitive. I normally like the spicy cinnamon type gum, but that seems to bother me when my tongue gets sensitive just before I go back in for chemo. It's happened 3 times now. I got 3 or 4 times now. That the weekend before I go in for chemo, my tongue gets very sensitive. That's the weird thing. You've been off the drugs for a period of time, and then the side effects don't show up for days. And then they show up, and then they finally go away, and so on. So I've been awfully tired. I've been sleeping an awful lot. I basically didn't work this week because I couldn't talk. I lost my voice. That's one of the reasons why I haven't done any videos. I haven't been healthy enough to do the videos because of the combination of the cold and the sinus infection and having no voice. I could only barely whisper and so on. So this one has been a rough one. Hopefully it was due to cold and not really due to chemo. So I'm looking forward to going back in and seeing if I get my chemo. This one, I still have to salt my food more because my sodium has been low. When I went in the emergency room, they gave me a bunch of saline, so that should help my sodium levels, which have not been up to normal yet. My magnesium levels are low, and I've got to take the magnesium oxide. And I find that one of those difficult pills to take because you have to take it with food, and I always forget to do that. If I go out to lunch, I forget to take it with me, and so on. So I got to find out about my magnesium levels are low, my sodium levels were low, and going back in for the next chemo in a couple of days. So I thought I'd just give you an update. That's why I haven't done any videos in the past little bit. I've been sort of out of it. And as you can tell, my voice is just about to give out. It's starting to get kind of gravelly, and it's not feeling very well. Having a hard time doing the longer videos. So thank you for listening. Chemotherapy's been interesting. Keep up I encourage you to get your colonoscopy if you're over 50, and see your doctor. So good luck to you all, and thank you for watching.